My name is Sue Shanahan, and I'm a veterinary pathologist. I work alongside our clinical veterinarians at the Denver Zoo Conservation Alliance Animal Hospital. So what is pathology? Pathology is the study of diseases. It could be a disease in a lesion, or it can be a disease in multiple systems in an animal. In pathology, we study pathogenesis, which is how a disease develops. And so that gives us clues as to why an animal might be ill, why we're seeing certain lesions, and ultimately why this animal may have died. How we study pathology is through the evaluation of the three-dimensional tissues, or the gross pathology, what we can see visually. And also through the microscopic pathology, when we look at those tissues under the microscope. And that gives us an idea of how a disease progresses. We may also be studying an animal through a gross necropsy, which is an autopsy as we know in people. When an animal dies, this gives us an opportunity to know everything, literally head to toe, from these individuals. And it gives us a chance, again, to see if our diagnoses were correct and to help make better diagnoses down the road. And that goes all the way to the level of animal care. Did we recognize these signs early enough? Can we get better at recognizing these things? And can we improve our care from the individual animals to the nutrition that goes into them, and of course to the medical care that we give them when they're ill and when they're healthy. Welcome to necropsy. This is where we will perform post-mortem examinations on animals called necropsy. And we can look here at tissues, at fluids, in a safe location, and decide what sort of tests we might need to run next and make diagnoses. These are the doors that would go out to the campus. You can see we have a really high ceiling here, so we have the ability to bring in very large cases for necropsy. We have a large floor here, so we have a lot of space, not only to accommodate the patients we work on, but the animal care specialists, the clinical team, which is one of the great things about having pathology on site here, is that the whole One Zoo team can be part of these necropsies, and they can learn things that maybe they couldn't see initially on these individuals from their clinical signs or for the treatments and the medical diagnoses that we had before. So we get to talk about these things together as a team as we're doing the necropsies. We have a table that can lift up. All of these things, from our rails to our tables, can support thousands of pounds. So we can work with really large cases, and we can also work with really tiny cases, of course. We try to take lots of good photography, so we've got a light box for that, and I got everything here, of course, can be completely decontaminated, so that we can keep the campus safe from any infectious diseases that we might encounter. We have a necropsy cooler over here that shall hold our cases and can hold the cases after post-mortem examination, so that they can go to the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, which is quite exciting, because that is where these animals take on a life after death, and they continue to contribute to research, they continue to contribute to our knowledge of these species, many of which are critically endangered. So I think one of the amazing things of being able to work alongside the clinical veterinarians is that gap between what they're doing clinically and what you can identify on the pathology. That gap is so, it doesn't exist when we have on-site pathology. And I think that's the amazing thing. Recently we had some losses in our lorikeet flock, and these birds ended up having a type of invasive nematode, a worm, that they've never had. And we were able to identify that in pathology and immediately institute treatment, which saved lives within hours. And that's phenomenal. I think a lot of other institutions would need to send that work out, and there's the time and the distance and the gap, and there could have been a lot of birds that died during that time. In zoo animals, we are constantly extrapolating what we know of health and disease in domestic animals and applying it to these less known species. And so we have a group of clinical veterinarians here that are boarded in zoological medicine, and they have a very strong foundation in these unique species. But we're always pushing the borders of what's known in these individual animals. And because of that, pathology is really impactful, because it helps us to confirm our diagnoses that we're making. It helps us to guide the therapies of what may or may not work in those individual animals based on what we're finding that they have. So pathology that we do here at Denver Zoo will also contribute to the greater knowledge of these individual species. And many of the species that we have here on campus are critically endangered. So what we learn here goes into publications, into international conference presentations. It goes into a network of other zoological institutions and wildlife institutes worldwide that depend on this information to also improve their care and to recognize diseases in the wild. We start with a tissue, and the tissue is then made through processing into a paraffin-embedded block. And from these blocks, a microtome is used to slice maybe 5 micron thick sections and embed those on then to a glass slide. And we can look at these tissues under the microscope. And that's histopathology. So we can learn on a cellular level what's driving some of these disease conditions that we are noticing in our animals clinically. This is one of our old Red River hogs, and one of the important things in these geriatric individuals is dental health. And so he had various dental diseases, which we could see on CT scans and which we worked with clinically. But being able to hold it and see it and understand in a 3-dimensional way what's happening here is really, really helpful. And it helps us to guide our treatments for our Red River hog sounder as we go to work with them later on. Well, thank you so much for learning about the pathology program here at Denver Zoo Conservation Alliance. It's unique among AZA accredited zoos to have on-site pathology here where we can make real-time decisions to improve the care that we can give our animals. And with this, it helps Denver Zoo stay true to our commitment to providing and creating a world where wildlife can thrive.